Hello everyone, welcome to Arjun English School. Today in 11th standard I am going to start new chapter number 7, that is sampling method. This is full theoretical chapters. So I am going to start this chapter now. Remember this one, okay? This chapter is also important for 12th standard because their population, then samples, then random sampling techniques. These are important for your 12th standard as well as future. Okay, and in example point of view, this chapter is having a weightage of 3 marks, 2 to 3 marks. So and it is fully theoretical chapter. Okay, so now I am going to start first point, that is what is population. Now we have to understand the meaning of population. It means a set or group of all units or items under study is called population. It means group of all units that we have to study. Means if I want to clarify or I want to apply the sampling techniques on 11th standard, then let's assume in 11th standard total number of students are 30. So my population size is 30. Now, second point, a set or group of units selected from population on the basis of some definite criteria is called sample. It means again, out of these 30 students, I want to select those students who secured more than 80% in 10 standard. So I can get approximately 3 to 4 students from this class. It means that students that I have selected, it becomes the sample size. Means total number of units that are under study, it is called population. Means our student size is 30, that is population, out of which I want to select some students, but there are certain criteria that students who got more than 80%, I want to select them. So 3 to 4 students that I have selected, it is called sample size. Second point, if I want to select on the basis of sports, who interested in sports, who interested in dance, or who interested in singing or teaching, whatever the criteria, and I am selecting the students on the basis of such criteria, then it is called sample size. Okay. Next, population. Here it is a word, sample with replacement and sample without replacement. A sample can be selected with or without replacement from population. Now we have to understand the meaning of sample with replacement. A sample in which each unit is selected from the population after replacing the unit selected earlier in the population, it is called sample with replacement. It means total number of students that are 30. Now if I am selecting these two students, but if I want to check another criteria, then these two students that I have selected is also including into this group. So it is total of 30. If I'm selecting these two, then 28. But again, for second criteria, I'm selecting them also, so it becomes again 30. Let's say example, if I am select those students who secured more than 80% in 10th standard, and now two students secured more than 80%. So now remaining sample size, that is for 28 students. But if I want to select students who are interested in dance, and I am again calculating the sample size of 30 students, it means those two students who is already selected, I consider them also. It means again I will check the criteria of 30 students, and there may possibility that those two students repeated again for this criteria. It means one student having a skill of dance as well as he is intelligent in study means he is selected again. So it is called sample with replacement. Another example, out of the box there are 10 cheats are available. If I am selecting two cheats, then 8 cheats are available in the box. But for another experiment, I am putting those two cheats again, and again I am withdrawing one. It means it is called sample with replacement. Now, what is without replacement? A sample in which each unit is selected from the population without replacing the unit selected earlier in the population. So it is called sample without replacement. It means one cheat selected, I am not considering it, I am putting aside. Means out of 10 cheats, I am putting one cheat aside, then remaining are 9. I am selecting now two another cheats, putting aside. Now remaining one are 7. Means those cheats who already been selected, that cheats I am not considering here for again repetition. So it is called sample without replacement. Got it? So there are two types of techniques, sample with replacement and sample without replacement. Selected one has a chance of select again, that is called sample with replacement, and selected one that we are ignoring it, then remaining it is called sample without replacement. Got it? So here I have completed the topic of population, sample, sample with replacement as well as sample without replacement. Okay? So now next topic, population inquiry. So what is population inquiry? There are two methods of collecting information or data about the population under the study. The inquiry in which information is collected from each and every unit of population. So it is called population inquiry or census inquiry. Means the random sample that I have selected from the population and I inquire about it. I am processing about it from the selected ones. So it is called population inquiry. So why I am inquiring it? Because my basic need for this selection, that is for survey purpose, research purpose. So for this purpose, I am selecting someone, then my basic need is to ask the questions, research on them, to examine the proper valuation, and after this, I got certain points and certain my theory that is based on certain evidence. So here it is the population inquiry where I am inquired the someone who I am selected from this population. Got it? It is also called census survey. Next, sample survey. The inquiry in which information is collected from the few units selected from the population, it is called sample inquiry or sample survey. Same like population inquiry. Next one, needs for sampling. So these are the needs for sampling. Sampling is inevitable in following situations. First of all, what are the needs? We often use sampling in real life. The quality control department of a factory randomly select a few units from the total production to check the quality of units produced. It means there is a one G are in a class who represents all the students. There is a one political party in society who is elected, who represents this society. There is a one shareholder who elected in meeting, that is called director. It means who represents all the shareholders. It means there are specific some leaders who has some qualities to represent all the units. So this is the main and basic need of sampling. But why we are doing this sampling? The main focus is that we want to reduce time, we want to reduce efforts, we want to reduce our cost. So that's why we are going with the sampling. Here they have provided the example, quality control department. Means here if there is any supervisor who check the production of goods from the factory. So he doesn't check each and every products. But out of 100 products, he randomly select one product, check its quality. If it is good, then he assume that all these 100 products are good. Okay, so here he applied the techniques of sampling where he reduced the time, he reduced the cost, he reduced the efforts. Got it? Well, the total production of the factory is considered as population and a few units selected for determining the quality becomes the sample. The procedure of selecting some milk for determining the fat from the milk brought by milkman to the dairy, checking the blood samples of few patients suffering from the particular disease to detect the cause of disease are other examples of sampling. Now, sampling is inevitable in the following situations. So, what are the situations? Number one, the number of units in a population is very large. Means population size is very large, then it is not easy to check each and every items to concern each and every people. So now to avoid this situation, we are using the random techniques. Second one, units of population are spread over wide geographical area. Means population size is very wide. If I want to apply this sampling technique for the research that is on whole India, then it is not possible that I as a single person going into each state, district and district and verify the data. So I am applying here the different techniques. Third one, the units under the inquiry are destroyed. That is, when the inspection of unit is destructive in nature. Example, inquiry of life of electricity bulb means any units that I want to research on it, but such unit is destroyed. Here the example that is provided, inquiry of life of electricity bulb. So here life of electricity of bulb is expired, then it is quite impossible that you can research on it. Last one, limited availability of resources like time, money and experts for conducting the inquiry. This point as I have earlier discussed. Okay, so now the next question is characteristics of an ideal sample. Sample inquiry is used to draw conclusions of the populations on the basis of samples selected from the population. Thus, a sample selected from population plays a vital role in obtaining information of the population. Means if I am selecting such sample, then it represents the whole population. But please concentrate here. The sample that I have selected is most important because it represents all the population. If I selected wrong sample, then it misleads the whole populations. Okay? Hence, it is absolutely essential that sample is appropriately selected from the population. A sample processing the following characteristics is called an ideal sample. Means if I want to select the samples, then these are the parameters or we can say characteristics to select the sample. Number one, most important question. Number one, it should be represent the populations. That is, all the characteristics of population should be included in the sample. Means it represents. I have already discussed. The represent means group of all the population out of which one person or one unit that I have selected all the different products, all these other products that are almost similar to such selected units. So we can say that represent the population. Second one, it should be randomly selected. That is, no units of population should be favored or prejudiced. Now, here it is randomly selected means I am not taking any kind of misleading statements or I am simply say it can be considered that I am selecting the sample without any prejudice. It means I am taking all the samples are equal and equal importance given to each and every persons. I am not distinguish them on the basis of colors, height, size, dressing sense, personality, but I am selecting it on my best opinion that he represents all the data. Okay, so I am not applying any techniques or any discrimination to select specific person or specific unit because as I have earlier discussed, if by wrongly I have selected any wrong unit, any wrong person, then it mislead the whole population. Let's say example, in your society, I am selecting one person to inquire something, but the personality of such person is like he is always giving misleading statements, he prejudice or he is not considered as a good man, then if I am inquiring about the society for specific purpose, but the such person is wrong, then my whole inquire, my whole sampling techniques and my whole research are wrong because representatives is not proper. Okay. Now third one, the sample units should be selected in same period of time and under identical conditions. Means such person that I have selected at the same point of time and with all the homogeneous conditions. That is, there should not be any major fluctuations affecting the study during the period of sampling. It means if I am selecting person from 11th standard, then I can select two boys and two girls. It means I am randomly selected without any prejudice. And here the main important topic is that I am selecting all the students from 11th standard who was studied in same atmosphere, same class, same situations. Okay, it is not like that I am selecting one person from 11th standard, one person from 9th standard and sampling for a specific purpose because the standards are different, means their knowledge are different, means it may be mislead to me. Next, Selection of samples unit should be independent, that is selection of a unit should not be dependent on selection of any other unit of sample. Means selected person or selected unit is independent from all the aspects. He is not dependent on anything or any person or any unit, so it is independent. And last, the size of sample should be adequate and determined in appropriate manner. Size of sample. Sample size should be adequate. Means if I want to select one person out of 1 crore population, then size is not adequate. I can select one person who is representative of 100 or 1000, but not more than that. So size of sample should be adequate and in appropriate manner. Next, sampling methods. So here, what are the sampling methods? So there are three sampling methods. Number one, simple random sampling. Second, stratified random sampling. Third one, systematic sampling. First that I have considered, systematic simple random sampling. So what is simple random sampling? Under this method, the whole population is taken as a single composite unit for the purpose of sampling. A sampling in which units are selected independent of each other in such a way that each unit belonging to the population has an equal chance of being a part of the sample. It is called simple random sampling. Means, as I have earlier discussed one example, there are 10 cheats are available in a box, and if I'm randomly select any one cheat, then there is equal importance given to all the cheats, that any one cheat can be selected from this. So it is called simple random sampling. So we can say that all the units are homogeneous from each other, or all the units are same as each other. So I can fairly select any one of it. Means all the units have equal chance to be selected. So it is called simple random sampling. And again, here they have provided simple random sampling with replacement and simple random sampling without replacement. So here there are two methods for simple random sampling. Number one, method of lottery that you all know, and method of random number table. Means from table we are selecting any one number. So in lottery method, you know that here there is some box and I'm selecting uh, any one chits or any one page, and I am selecting it, and such person or such unit that's selected, so that we can say that he he won this lottery and whatsoever. Here there is no mathematical calculation in this. Any literate or illiterate person or any person who are representative can select these chips. So here it is called methods of lottery. Okay, methods of random number table. This method is not important, but under which there are some techniques which can be asked for 1 marks. So these techniques under random number table, that is LHC Tippett's random number table. Second, Fisher and Yates random number table. Third, random number table of Rand Corporation of America. So these types of three techniques available for random number table. Remember this very carefully. It can be asked for 1 marks question, and here there are some numbers. I have to select any one out of it, so it is called random number table. Now here there are some advantages and disadvantages of simple random sampling. So what are the advantages and disadvantages? First, advantage is number one, there is no scope of bias or prejudice in the selection of sample since each unit of the population has equal chance of selections. So here we can say that there are no any prejudice or bias in this selection. So all the units have equal chance of importance. Second point, the chance that a random sample represents the population is high. As the size of the sample increase, it becomes increasingly representative of the population. This technique is useful when the population size is very large. So I am selecting this. It means we can say that in a box there are 1,000 lotteries. I am selecting one of it. So equal chance of selection and there is no bias or prejudice in this selection. Okay. Third point, reliable information about characteristics of the population can be obtained with less cost and time. Means it saves our time, energy and money. Disadvantages. So what are the disadvantages? Number one, it requires complete list of units of the population. Absence of complete list restrict the use of sampling design. We require the complete list of the units. Means we cannot say that some units are not available here and you have to randomly select one. Means here we can say that it is the bias or prejudice. So it is most important that complete list that should be available for the population. Second one, when the size of the population is large, the preparation of slips or assigning the numbers to the population units becomes tedious and time consuming because the population size here it is large, so we have to assign the number under random number techniques. There are three techniques: LHC, Tippett, Fishers and Yates, and American Rand Corporation. So in which we have to apply the numbers. If the population size is more, then there are more time consuming to applying to give the number to the proper populations. So it is time consuming. Third one, sample will not be representative sampling if the sample size is small and population is heterogeneous. So here we have to understand that size of the population is not very small that uh, to select the proper sample from the populations. Means sample size should be the normal or it can be very large. But if size is small, then population it may be heterogeneous. Okay. So now my next question is stratified random sampling. Here it is stratified random sampling, but this topic that I am considering in the next session. So see you in the next class. Thank you. Hello everyone. Today I am going to start a new topic that is stratified random sampling. Here the meaning is when the population is heterogeneous, that is when there is considerable amount of variation among the units of population, the use of stratified random sampling is more appropriate than simple random sampling. Okay. Here, the meaning of heterogeneous means different types of population. In simple random sampling, there is all the populations are equal and homogeneous. But here, different kinds of population here. So, considerable amount of variation among the units of population, the use of stratified random sampling is more appropriate than simple random sampling. Means here different kinds of population here, so it is not possible that we can select one random and it is representing all the units. That's why we have to use this stratified random sampling. In exam they can ask that wherever the stratified random sampling is usable, then your answer is when the considerable amount of variation among the units of population The use of stratified random sampling is more appropriate than simple random sampling. Got it? In this form of sampling, the population is first divided into two more mutually exclusive groups based on some characteristics of variable under the study. A process of dividing heterogeneous population into non-overlapping, fairly homogeneous groups, it is called stratification, and these groups are called strata. Means if there are different kinds of population here, then we have to identify all the numbers which are in common group, and second all the numbers that are in another common group. Means we are diversify these overall populations into two different common groups, where these common groups are, that is heterogeneous population comes into the normal population, and this process is called stratification, and this whole process that we call strata. These strata differ from one another, and the units of each stratum have almost same characteristics in terms of variation. It means if we have divided this whole population into different groups, then each group, there all the populations are common. In another group, all the populations numbers are common. In another group, all the population groups are common. So a random sample is independently drawn from each stratum, and random samples so obtained from all the strata are combined to get a sample which is called stratified random sampling. So from this sampling group, I am selecting one data from one common group, another random from another common group, another random from another common group. So it is called stratified random sampling. Let's say example. In secondary school, from 9 to 12, total population is, let's say example, 500. But I cannot select any one person from this 500. So I am dividing it the class wise, like ninth class, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So I am dividing these whole the populations of 500 into four different groups, one, 2, 3, and 4. Now I am selecting one person from ninth class, one person from 10th, one person from 11th, as well as one person from 12th. So first of all, this whole population that I have divided into mutual exclusive groups having the same characteristics, and this diversification that is called stratification, and these groups that are we called strata. And now this strata, each strata specifies the normal common population. So I have to select each random from these all the different stratas. So it is called stratified random sampling. Another, take another example. If in our area there are different kinds of people, like says here, like poor people, middle class, and very rich. So here first of all I have to identify the categories of poor people, categories of middle class, and categories of rich class. So how can I identify? You can easily identify that very rich and luxurious people who can afford car, their own bungalow, and their personal servants, etc. So you can easily select all the richest people, and we can select one person from it. In poor people, we can see that they have not their own basic necessities of things, food, shelter, clothes, etc. So you can diversify it as separate strata, and you can select one person from it, and the rest is middlemen, and this from middle class family you can select one person, and you can research on it. Okay, so whatever is your research purpose, you have to select the person accordingly, and this technique that we call stratified random sampling. Now Strategies like proportional allocation, optimal allocation, cost minimization, etc., can be used for deciding the numbers of units taken from each stratum. Next one. Here are some advantages and disadvantages of stratified random sampling. Advantages number one, in this method, sample is selected from each stratum, so stratified sample provides representative samples. Second one, generally, stratified sampling provides estimated with increased accuracy. Means as and when stratified random sampling that we are applied, our accuracy level will increase because I have not selected one person from this entire group. First of all, I have divided into different categories, and then we have selected one person from each category, that is called stratified random sampling. So here more accuracy level that can be maintained. Third point, this method enables to maintain predetermined level of accuracy for each of this stratum. Means each category, and if I am selecting one person from each category, then this person is representative for for this category, and that's why the accuracy level maintained for different stratas. Fourth point, administrative convenience increase in this method. And fifth point, separate enumerators can be appointed to select samples from different strata. Means if one person cannot maintain these whole the stratas, then we have to allocate the person according to category wise, and we have to provide the task to each enumerators to elect the person from each strata. So these are the advantages. Now come on to disadvantages. At the time it is difficult task to divide the population into homogeneous strata. Yes, this is difficult task because randomly selection is not so important, but the important is to we have to allocate or we have to divide the population into homogeneous strata. If we have done any mistakes in this allocation, then this method is not proper. Second point, if stratification is not proper, accuracy of the result obtained by the sample inquiry decreases. This is the point which is in the advantages, and the same way it is in disadvantages. Means if stratification is proper, then it becomes the advantages, but if stratification is not proper, then it becomes the disadvantages. Third point, the procedure of estimating the population parameters in the methods is more complicated as compared to simple random sampling. Means here all the procedures to divide into different groups as according to their homogeneous levels, and then after select the representative from each data, so it is more difficult task compared to simple random sampling. Third point, systematic sampling. So here in this method, the first sample is randomly selected and the remaining units are automatically selected in definite sequence at uniform interval from one another. This method of sampling is usually recommended if the complete list of population units is available and the units are arranged in some systematic order such as alphabetical, chronological, geographical, etc. Systematic sample units are uniformly distributed over the populations. Here, all the random data that we have collected, first of all, we have to arrange it either on alphabetical or chronological or geographical. And then after, random sampling techniques applied. Here there are some examples. Suppose The n units in the population are arranged in some systematic order and are numbered 1 to n. N means it stands for infinite number. It may be 10, 20, 50, 100, etc. We want to select a sample of n units from it such that capital N is equals to small n multiplied by k, or k is equals to capital N divided by small n, where k is usually called sampling interval. It means if there are 1,000 numbers and I want to select 10 from this number. So total number means capital N is equals to 1,000 and small n that we have to select, that is 10. So 1,000 divided by 10, we got the answer 100. It means my selection sampling interval, that is for 100, means first 1 to 100 I have to select 1. From 101 to 200 I have to select one sample. From 201 to 300 I have to select one sample, etc. It means from 100 to 1000 we can select 10 samples, that is representative from out of 100. So it is called sampling interval, that we call k. Here we will assume k to be an integer value. We select a unit at random from the first unit and the select every kth unit thereafter. Set of such selected units is called systematic sample, and the method to obtain such a cost sample is called systematic sampling. It means we are not selecting 10 samples from 1 to 100 or 100 to 200 or 500 to 600. We are selecting each sample from each 100 units. Means we are giving equal importance to all the data and any one for from the k, that is sampling interval, we are selecting one sample, so it is called systematic sampling. Okay, here there is an example. Suppose we want to select 6 plastic bottles from 42 plastic bottles, means 42 plastic bottles that are manufactured in a factory, and we want to check the quality of it. So first of all arrange 42 plastic bottles and we have to select 6 bottles. So 42 divided by 6, it comes to 7. So from 1 to 7 I have to select one. 7 to 14 I have to select one. Same way, we can select any 6 bottles from this 42, but the sampling interval, that is of 7, means we can select one bottle from chronological order from 1 to 7, etc. This is called systematic random sampling. Now here look at this, 1 to 42 plastic bottles. So here from 1 to 7 we have selected one, 8 to 14 we have selected one, 15 to 21 again we have selected one. So in these types of selection we can select any one bottle from this chronological order. Okay. Now what are the advantages and disadvantages? This is the last part for this chapter. It is easier to draw a sample and often easier to execute without mistakes. Means it is a very simple technique so that mistakes cannot occur while sampling. Second point, sample is evenly spread over the entire population. It means it is spread entire the population and we have not to select all the randoms from specific population. Third point, it requires less time and labor compared to simple and stratified random sampling. Means it is most easier, less time, less labor required. Now disadvantages, it works well only if complete list of population units is available. It means if complete list is not available, then we cannot use this method. Second, arranging all the population units in a systematic order is time consuming, tedious, and at times not feasible. It means every time this method is not possible, but somewhere you can this types of method, because we have to arrange it in time. It is time consuming, tedious, and not feasible at all. Third point, systematic sample is not completely random sample, because we cannot say that it is completely random, because here you can see that if I am selecting sequence wise like 3, 10, 17, 24, 31, and 38, there are no mistakes in this, but we cannot say that all the 42 bottles are clean and quality wise. So it means there may be some quality, there may be some chance that threats of quality can be here, but it cannot be possible that we can identify if we can use this method. Next, sample may be biased if hidden periodicity in the population coincides with that of selection of sample. Means it can be biased where there if I am selecting someone, so we can say that these sample techniques it may be biased and not appropriate in sometimes. Okay, so finally I have completed the entire chapter where we have completed the, it is a summary where we have completed the population sample sampling techniques. There are three techniques: simple, stratified, and systematic. In simple there is lottery techniques and random numbers. In random number there are three types of random numbers. Then after we have completed the stratified we have to allocate into classification of these homogeneous products, and each classification that we call strata, advantages and disadvantages. Last one is systematic, where we have to arrange in sequence wise, either in alphabetical order, chronological order, or geographical order. Then after advantages as well as disadvantages. And important topic, important questions from this chapter, that is first of all ideal methods of random sampling. Second one, meaning of these three methods. Third one is name of random sampling numbers method. So these three are the most important questions for this chapter, and remaining are the rest are the that we have covered here. So finally, this chapter is over. From the next class, we are going to start one another chapter. So thank you.